Hello Algebra 2 students, welcome to the video support for the test number 5 review or study guide. So this should help you. Right now this part is working on just page 1, so you should be looking at this. And we have this problem where we're supposed to solve by factoring. So what I want you to do is look at this and see what's the biggest thing we can pull out of both of these parts, and that is simply an n. So let's write that as n minus 2, because if I distribute back, n times n is n squared, and n times negative 2 is negative 2n, and that's still equal to 0. Now we can't factor any further, so we set each of those equal to 0. Well, that one's done, and then we have n minus 2 equals 0, and then to solve that we're just going to add 2 to both sides, and we're left with n equals 2. So we have n equals 0, n equals 2. Okay, let's look ahead to the next problem. We're going to jump down to number 3. Again, I'm only doing the odds for you. So we have this situation where we have a quadratic, but we also have this number over here. What we're going to do is just move that negative 2 over. Which will then give us r squared plus 7r plus 12. Now this is that case where we need to find out what multiplies to c and adds to b. So we have to factor 12. We have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And then what I'm going to recognize is that these add to 7. So we're going to break this 7r into 2 parts. Or actually we don't have to because it's already done. We're just going to get to our solution, which is r plus 3 times r plus 4. And that's all equal to 0 after I took that 2 away over there. So now we set each of those separately equal to 0, because one of these parts has to be equal to 0 in order for that to be true. Or if either of those is equal to 0, then it's true. So then solve. Subtract 3 from both sides. R equal negative 3 minus 4 minus 4. R equal negative 4. And that's our answer. So we got 2 solutions. That's it for number 3. All right, for number 5, we have v squared minus v equal 42. Let's just bring that 42 over to the quadratic. So we have v squared. Actually, we're going to subtract 42. Both sides of the equation. So we're left with v squared minus v minus 42 equal to 0. And now we're going to factor this negative 42. So our factors of negative 42 that add to negative 1, because there's really a 1 right there. So the factors, I'm going to write over here, 1 and 42, 2 and 21. I'm looking for something that adds to negative 1. For this to be true, for this to be negative, and that to the middle, for the c to be negative and the b to be negative, only one of these can be negative, because a negative times a negative would give us a positive at the end. So I'm always going to take the bigger one negative, because we need to end up more negative than positive. So that'll be 3 and negative 18, I believe. Yeah. Still doesn't get me to negative. We got 4, doesn't go, 5, 6, and 7. And there we are. That's the grouping that we're looking for, because these multiply to negative 42, and yet they add to negative 1. So we're going to use that. V squared we don't need to do that. We have both of our terms. Sorry. So we have v plus 6, v minus 7. Set each of those equal to 0. So v equals negative 6, and v equals positive 7. That's our solution. Okay, so for our last problem, we have a quadratic with a leading coefficient of 7. So this is one of those ones where you have to multiply the two ends, the a and the c, and we get 14. So now we're looking for factors of 14 that multiply to 14, add to negative 15. In this case, in order to get a middle number that's negative, a b value that's negative, and a c that's positive, they both have to be negative. So I'm just going to help you out here and recognize that that's going to break down into negative 1 times negative 14. Multiplies to positive 14, adds to negative 15. So we're going to plug those in. 7x squared minus 14x minus 1x plus 2 equals 0. Now we're looking to regroup and pull out GCFs, the greatest common factors. So we'll go 7x and what's left is x minus 2. We'll pull out a negative 1, and for that to be blue. And what's left is x minus 2. Then we recombine those, and that's times the x minus 2. Those are all equal to 0. Set each one equal to 0. And x minus 2 equals 0. And solve. 7x is equal to 1. Divide by 7. X equals 1 over 7. And we add 2 to both sides. X is equal to 2. Final answer. All right, that's it for page 1. Hope that's helpful. Practice those evens, and then you can move on to page 2.